Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. This week I'm going to be talking about how men can be good allies to women. So I'm going to talk about things like why it's really important to have men speaking, not necessarily for women, but speaking kind of on behalf of them, I guess. The tips and tricks that you can do every day or every week or every month or whenever to help women and help the cause and not hurt the cause, and some things not to do that may hurt the cause. And yeah, just why it's great and why you should all be doing these things. So first, I think it's super important to mention, like, there are so many men who maybe like want to do good and who are good men and who want to help, but they just don't really know like where to start or like how they can kind of like actively do good things. So that's like why I want to do this video. And I think it's like super important that we have men's voices, because obviously I'm sure you've heard this word thrown around 10 billion times, but you have privilege, you know, whether you know it or not, and whether you care about it or not, but you do, and like people will listen to you. I mean, like, people have heard women going on about, you know, women's issues for centuries now, and like a lot of people are just kind of bored and they don't really care. Whereas like if there's a man talking about it, it's like, oh, actually maybe I should listen to this now. Maybe there's something to this if you know, if a man's getting involved, you know. And like, even though it does affect you and like harmful gender stereotypes hurt men as well, like people might think like, oh well, you know, he's doing this, that this doesn't affect him, he's doing this off, you know, off the good of his back. That's what I'm saying, he's doing this for the good of everyone. I don't know what to say. So they might take it a bit more seriously because they're like, oh well, he has no agenda, so he must actually mean what he's saying. So they might be inclined to listen to you more. You also might be less likely to be punished for this kind of thing. Like, so oftentimes in the workplace or even in the home or whatever, like women speaking up for themselves, they get punished for it, whereas a man might not. Like, yeah, there might be kind of, you know, a stigma by association, or he might be kind of like, oh, people might think you're weird, but like you're less likely to be like punished for it or to face serious penalties for speaking up about this. So we really could do with the help. I'd say feminists everywhere are like, oh my god, well, shut up. But it's true, we do need your help whether we like it or not. And I just think, like, I know so many men are just like so sick of other men giving them a bad name. You know, like, you know, there are some men who do bad things, and then a lot of men get labelled as that kind of type. And I know that like there are men who are like, no, I don't want to be labelled as this. I don't want, you know, the actions of some men to speak for all of us. So like, there is a way, like, you can actively fight against that. You should. And I think it's important to note as well, like, you know, even if you're not necessarily one of the bad guys or you're not doing any of the bad things, you still benefit from the actions of these guys. You still benefit from having that power in society and having that privilege and having people respect you just because you're a man. Like, even if you're not actively doing anything bad, you still benefit from those things. And so I think that's important to acknowledge. And, you know, we're not saying like, oh, you know, like, you have to take all those privileges away from you, but women would like some of them, I think. And as I said, like, you know, it can sometimes be hard to fight for something that you don't think will necessarily affect you, you know, like, well, like, what's the point? But like, this does affect you. Like, if people think certain things about women, they also think those are similar certain things about men. You know, if people have, you know, prescribed gender roles for women, they also have prescribed gender roles for men, and like, those can be harmful and you might not like those. So like, if we're tearing down, you know, these negative connotations about like what it means to be a woman, then we're also tearing down those negative connotations about what it means to be a man. And that helps you. Like, it's all, even though we're here talking about women, it's the same system that contributes to all this badness. And so like, you know, you are, even though it may not on the surface necessarily feel like it's affecting you, it does, and it helps. So by helping women, you're actually helping yourself. So there's a bit of an incentive for you if you're stuck. And I know it's super hard as well to talk about something and fight for something that you don't really know anything about. Like, that's like me, like, you know, with racism. I mean, obviously, like, I don't have personal experience with the racism. I feel uncomfortable. I'm like, oh my god, am I getting it wrong? Am I getting it right? But like, you have to be that way. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be open to learning. You have to be like, okay, I actually don't know everything, but I want to help. I want to do something. So let's start, I guess, somewhere. You know, it's good to start like anywhere, even if it's like the tiniest thing in the world. It's something. And I think, yeah, it'll just be amazing for everyone if you do something. And important to acknowledge as well is, don't just do it because you'll think you'll like get women. Like, there are so many guys who are just like, yeah, I'm a feminist, and who just say that to like flirt with women or get with women, and it's like, oh hell no, like, we can see those people miles away. So yeah, just important to acknowledge that. Don't do that either. So now let's get stuck into some of the active things you can do to be a good ally to women. So I guess the first thing, most obvious thing, is just to educate yourself. Like, try and just learn as much as possible, because that's really the first step. I mean, like, there's no point in you going out and trying to help things if you don't know what to help, if you don't know what the issues are. So things like, you know, listen to women when they're talking to you, read books written by female authors, watch movies. I mean, this can be fun. This can be a fun learning experience. You know, watch movies that are made by women or that are about women. Real stories, not just like gender stereotypes being perpetuated the whole time. Watch my videos. Like, there are so many ways to educate yourself. That's really the first step. Go to women's events. There are so many events on that are about women's issues, thankfully, but so often it's just women in the crowd and it's just women speakers, and it's like, it's great. And like, I obviously learned so much from going to these events, but what's the point? Like, what's the point if it's just literally women talking to women about women's issues? It's like, what actually happens? What change happens? There needs to be men there as well. Like, it's half of society missing from these events. Like, we need to have more people in this room. So go to women's events and ask questions and be like, hey, yeah, what can I do? Like, just, yeah, go along and put yourself out of your comfort zone and be like, what can I do to help here? A really important one is calling out your guy friends when they say bad things, you know? Like, and this is a really tough one, and I struggle with it myself. Like, I'm so used to just like laughing off jokes like how uncomfortable that I know are bad, and so I'm not saying that this is an easy one. It's not, but like, it's so important. Like, if you are silent, that's being complicit. If someone makes a sexist joke or a racist joke or whatever, or like a rape joke, and you stay silent, like, that's, whether you like it or not, unfortunately, it's giving permission to that person to continue making those jokes. And I know I've seen it with men. I've seen them being able to call guys out in a way that I would never be able to do, because I would just be labelled as like, oh, the angry feminist. Whereas I've seen guys in the flesh calling out other guys for being sexist, and they're able to do it in kind of like a funny way. They're able to make a joke out of it while getting the point home. And I think like that's a skill that I probably will never ever have, but that you might have. And I think it's really good to use that and just to be like, you know, just be like, oh, actually that isn't that funny. Or get them to explain the joke. Someone makes a sexist joke, get them to explain it. Be like, oh, I don't get it. You know, like, and ask them to bring it home and, you know, like, kind of work it through. And very often they can't, because it's not actually funny. It's just sexist. Or just be like, Jesus, like, that's a bit of a weird thing to say. Or like, God, surely that's not okay to say nowadays, is it? Or what's the story? Maybe even like play dumb, or just kind of be like in shock, because, or just be kind of like, geez, that's a bit outdated. I think like, you don't want to like shame someone. Like, you don't want someone to not do something out of shame. But I think so oftentimes, like, kind of embarrassing someone is like that's embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing to make a sexist joke. Like, I mean, we're not living in the 1950s. I mean, that's like, get with the times. You know what I mean? It's almost basically being like, why are you wearing those clothes from like 20 years ago? Like, you know, or why are you listening to that music for like 100 years ago? That's so old fashioned. Like, do you know, it's not like the best surefire way, but it's kind of like, oh, well, that's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. Another good one is if you're, say, being asked to speak in a conference, and I actually have a whole video on this, but one thing is if you're being asked to speak at a conference, ask the organisers, are there women on the panel? Are there women, you know, speakers or moderators? If not, you know, what can they do about it? I mean, like, sometimes you can say, well, I'm not going to speak on that if it's just all men, and that can get them to try and find women to put on the panel. Or you can suggest women that they can put on the panel if you know women who are experts in that area. So that's another really good way of getting women involved in debates and having their voices heard, and again, using your privilege to get women's voices heard. Another one is like sharing your knowledge. So like, this might apply mainly to like the workplace or something, but it can also be applied anywhere. Like, share your knowledge with something, like share your contacts in, you know, your professional network. If someone is, say, joining your company for the first time, you know, like, share any kind of like insider tips, like, you know, if that guy likes something done a certain way, or, you know, if that's a quicker way to get to that conference room, like, you know, like, share these insider tips and raise women up, and, you know, don't bring them down, you know, raise them up and like be as helpful as you can to them. You have this leg up, like, help them without being patronizing, of course. I think also a big one as well is like, ask women how you can help. Like, don't ever assume that you know what they want, because sometimes like you might think like, oh, this will be great now, and it might have all the good intentions in the world, but it actually might not be what women want at all, and you could actually end up doing more harm than good. And, you know, you see that a lot with like, you know, white saviors who go into Africa and try and help people, like, and like they think they know what's best for the community, but they actually have absolutely no clue because they're not in the community. And it's like, yeah, there are good intentions, but it actually just ends up being horrific. So always ask women, how can I help you? Am I doing this right? Be vulnerable, like, be, you know, open to criticism, and be like, okay, well, you know, if this will be helpful for you, I'm more than happy to do it. And just ask them. I think really important to mention as well is just be prepared to upset the status quo. And this is something, again, I have to work on. It's so easy to just want to be comfortable and to not make a fuss and to not kind of speak up when you're uncomfortable, but it's so important. Like, be prepared for someone to give out to you and for you to get in trouble. Like, you know, be prepared for that, and try and build up a resilience to that. And again, it's something I'm working on, and if I have any tips, I'll let you know. But just, yeah, try and just build up the courage to just kind of call things out and be prepared to take responsibility and take a bit of the brunt of calling that out. So also there's something known as amplification. So amplify women's voices. Don't take away from them. Don't, speak over them. Don't think you're speaking for them, but actually like be taking away their voice at the same time. Amplify their voices. So if a woman has said something, say in like a boardroom or an office room, and you think it's good, say like, oh, actually then that's great. Yeah, just kind of build them up, or even like a simple nod. Like if someone's saying something that you think is good, be kind of, nodding in the background and kind of making it known to the room that you agree with that person, that you think it's a good idea. Amplifying their ideas, amplifying their voices. And again, if someone has said, say if a woman has said something and then a minute later a man said the same thing, be prepared to be like, well, she actually said that a minute ago. Or, again, in a meeting, ask a woman what she thinks. Like if you notice the women in the room aren't speaking up, which is very likely to happen, say, oh, well, what do you think? Do you have any thoughts on this? Like actively ask women their thoughts and opinions and make it okay for them to contribute without the fear of, being talked over or their ideas being shut down, or, just kind of actively be like, oh, how can you contribute your perspective, which is extremely important to this discussion. A really simple one is share things on social media, share a tweet, share a Facebook post, leave a comment, give a like. I think I'm huge for likes. So often I don't necessarily want to share it because I'm like, I don't want my timeline to be, full of things. I don't want people to think that I'm just sharing everything, but I'll give everything a like, especially on Twitter and Facebook. Like if you like something, it'll show up on other people's timelines. It's something very simple. You don't have to like outwardly say your opinions or, put your own stamp on it, but you can just give it a like and put it out there into the universe, and it's one more like. And something as small as that is super, super powerful. So I would encourage everyone to just be liking stuff. A really big one, if you want to be an ally, don't touch women if they don't want to be touched. This is huge. So this can be things like, obviously like outright, if you're like in a club or whatever, don't grab their ass. But even just bare minimum, like, if you're posing for a picture, like see if she's comfortable with your arm around her. Like she might not be, like maybe like don't assume that you can put your arm around her. And a big example of this is Keanu Reeves. I think everyone maybe saw this. Like he literally went like viral and it just went all over the world. A few months ago, or about a year ago, he was posing for a photo with a woman and he had his arm around her, but he wasn't like tugging at her waist or anything. You could just see like his like fist almost like around her, and the world went crazy. I think one of the reasons the world went crazy was because it was so shocking to see a guy actively aware of his body in relation to hers and how his, touch could be making her feel. And so many women were just like, yes, that's how you do it. And I think that's so important. And like so often it can be just really intimidating when like a guy who's maybe bigger than you has his arms around you and is like, and so often there are, pictures being taken and the guy is like actually really tight around your waist, and it's so uncomfortable. So just be really, really aware of that and how your body is in relation to hers. And I think on that as well, a big thing for me is like, don't kiss your female colleagues, but shake your male colleague's hand. Like, I'm not a big higger or cusser. I'm not a big kisser or hugger, and I would much prefer a handshake, whereas so often the men's hands are shook and the women are kissed, and I'm so not about that life. So really, I just think if it's a business situation, shake your female colleague's hand. I'm all about that life. A big one is like, just don't call us pet names. Like so often we're called like love or pet or like hun or doll or like dear, and like a lot of those again can be like terms of endearment. They can be mentioned in a good way, but they have the effect of kind of undermining us as people and us as professionals and just our skills and just us as grown-ups with like valid opinions and thoughts. So yeah, try not to call us pet names. Yeah, I don't like that. I think a general rule as well that's good for all of these things is if you're not sure whether something you're doing is good or bad, it's probably not great. Like if you have to ask yourself, oh, maybe am I doing the right thing here? You might not be. And again, this is the one that I have to ask myself all the time as well. Just if you have to ask, you're probably not doing the best thing in the world. So keep that in mind. Things you can do if you are a husband or a father: share in the parenting duties, share in the household chores. This is an amazing way to be an ally for women. It frees up her time. It balances it out, as it should be anyway. It gives her time to think, to be creative, to make things, to educate herself, to just go for walks or take a bath or just be alone or see her family. So then that's a really big, if you want to be an ally and you want to do one thing, that is how you do it. Honestly, hands down. If you're in an office meeting and people need coffee, off to get the coffee. So often women are the ones, it's just a cliche right now. I don't know how this kind of still goes on, just on the basic level of it being just a violent cliche and embarrassing. Women are so often tasked with getting the coffee, sometimes because they're women, but sometimes because they might be like the lower ones down and might be assumed that the lower person gets the coffee. But I think it's great as well if you offer, go get the coffee, if you offer to take notes, or say if you need an extra chair around the table, come get the extra chair. Don't assume that it's just the woman's job. I think that's an amazing way, and just shows other men in the room that it's possible for men to also do these jobs, and it normalizes it, and it creates an atmosphere where anyone can do any of these, you know, small things, and it not be seen as like a weak thing or a woman's thing. Yeah, that's amazing. I think another way to be a good ally is just by asking yourself, are the women in my life able to call me out on shit? Are they able to call me out when I'm being an asshole? Are they able to call bullshit? Are they able to tell me the things that matter to them, tell me about their experiences? Are they able to trust me with that information and trust that I won't like get defensive, or that I won't make it about me, or that I won't brush it off or say that it's not real or doesn't exist? Ask yourself, are they able to tell me? Are they really able to tell me stuff? And if they're not, you need to ask yourself, what can I do to rectify that situation? Another big one is if you're hiring people, if you're in HR or whatever, be aware of your biases when hiring people. It's like the least you can do. Be aware of, okay, well, am I judging this person unfairly now because they're a woman? Or do I think that they're going to have kids in 2 years, so I won't hire them? Just like be aware of your gender perspective when you're hiring. If you're looking at a man, if you're looking at a woman, absolutely take their education, take their experience into account, but really don't take the gender into account, and ask yourself, are you? And if you are, maybe you need to look elsewhere. If you're a creator of any kind, ask yourself, are there women involved in your creative process? So if you make movies, or you make videos, or you are an artist, like ask yourself, are there women involved in this process? Are some of the people on my team women? Are their perspectives heard? Are they contributing? Are they getting experience? Is it all men around me? And ask yourself maybe why that is. I think that's really, really cool. Just ask yourself, am I surrounded by any women here? And if not, there might be an issue, you know? I think if you're a dad, it's great, like, you know, be an example to your sons, you know, raise girls to learn that they can do anything, and also raise boys to expect those strong, independent women that you're raising. You know, it's not just that like we need to teach girls, oh, you can be anything. We also need to teach the boys to expect those women and know that women can do anything they want, and also that men can do anything they want, but that they can't be mean. And I think finally, another good one is just to be aware of your body language. This is kind of similar to the one with the example with Keanu Reeves, but I say always, you know, if you're on a street and it's like a dark street, it's late at night, be aware of how you might be coming across to a woman. Like, I know you probably won't do anything, or you're not like a threat to her, but she might feel threatened. She might have experienced something before where a man attacked her or a man raped her, and she might not trust men. And there are so often times where I'm on the street and I feel scared, and like logically I'm like, they probably statistically won't do anything to me, but I still feel scared, and like it's horrific walking around being scared all the time. So I think as a man, you know, just be aware of your body language, be aware of how you might be coming across to a woman, even if that's not your intention. Just be aware of it. Cross the street if you need to, you know, just like make her as comfortable as possible. You know, like if you need to like go onto the road a bit off the footpath, just to make sure that she has the space and that you're not super close to her, do that. You know, like if you need to ask someone for directions, don't come up like behind them and scare them. Like that's happened to me, and it's horrific. And I just think like have just the self-awareness to know how you might be coming across to a woman and how you might actually be scaring her, even if it's not your intention. So I think, as I've mentioned a list of all these things to do, it's important to mention a list of things not to do. So some of them I've kind of already mentioned, but we're just going to go through a small list of things here. So things like mansplaining, obviously, you know, like explaining something to a woman that she obviously already knows, and like you might think like, oh, you're teaching her, you're great, you're giving her expertise, but again, just be aware of whether, well, like she might already know this, might actually be doing more harm than good here. You know, be aware of, you know, if you're in that conference room, you know, don't be like rescuing her. Like she doesn't need rescuing, she just needs space to say what she needs and voice her opinions. She doesn't need to be kind of, you know, coddled or patronized. And again, you might think they're doing a great thing, but it might come off in a bad way. So just have to be aware of all that. And again, on that, you know, like if you're getting involved with women's organization, you know, don't become kind of the spokesperson for that organization. Just again, just, you know, be there and ask what people need, and, you know, don't speak over people. I know it's, you know, you might want to be proactive, you might want to be like, yes, I am here for the women, but again, don't, it's kind of this strike a balance between, you know, being there and using your voice, but don't be taking away from women's voices either. Again, try not to get defensive when women tell you things. Again, I suffer from this, we all do. It's very easy to be like, oh my god, I don't know enough, they think I'm shit, like, oh my god, who are they to tell me, you know, call me out. But try not to. It's, you know, you'll learn so much more if you don't get defensive and you're just like, okay, maybe they have a point, maybe I could learn some stuff here, and just go from there. And I think really important as well is don't expect women to educate you. Women have been educating men their entire lives, and we're tired, and there's so much information out there. I also have a video on this of places to look for feminist things and to learn about feminism and women's rights and stuff. There are so many places to learn. Yes, sure, you know, ask women for their opinions on things, but if they don't want to tell you stuff, it's not their job. It's exhausting. Again, just don't expect women to have to educate you just because this is their issue that they experience. And I think hopefully I would be more than happy to explain to someone why issues are issues. But sometimes I'm just really, really tired and I don't want to have to explain it for the billionth time that day. So yeah, Google and educate yourself, and just, yeah, women aren't there to teach you everything all the time. So yeah, in conclusion, I think, like, hopefully I've given you some tips that you want to try out. I think another, one final tip is, you know, look to other men. For an example, you know, Justin Baldoni, the actor, is doing amazing work on gender. He's talking with other men. I think he would be a really good place to start. And I think just look to them for inspiration, or just how they're acting and how you can act, and just like for lessons. Because I mean, like, I'm not a man, I don't know what it's like to be a man. There's only so much that I can tell you on how you can be a good ally. Look to these men who are being good allies and see what they're doing and take inspiration. I think that would be amazing. And again, you know, women don't have to educate you, but ask them how you're doing, you know, like constantly just kind of be in check, like, oh, is that okay now, or is that appropriate now, or am I helping you or am I harming you? Like, just constantly kind of like be asking yourself and be self-reflecting and be self-aware. Sounds like a lot of work, but it's really not. It can be literally like one small thing, as that a week, a day, a month, or whatever. It's just something. And I think, you know, like, being an ally isn't just a title, it's a role, it's something you have to do. It's great to be like, yeah, I'm an ally, but you actually maybe have to like do something sometimes. And again, it can just be like one small tiny thing, but just, you know, try and do it regularly. Try and like, you know, build yourself up. Like, it can be really scary to kind of like, you know, dip your toe in the water, but just do one small thing. Start out maybe, you know, liking something on Facebook, and maybe sharing a tweet, and then maybe, you know, calling someone out, or, you know, having a conversation, or watching. Like, it can be really, really small, but it can be super, super impactful and beneficial. And I think as well, really important not to feel shame or guilt. A lot of times, especially with me, I mean, I try not to feel, you know, white guilt all the time, because I didn't actually achieve anything. You know, you might think like, oh god, like, god, this sounds horrific. Men are horrific. I'm horrific. Like, try not to make it about you. This is about them. Try not to feel shame or guilt, because it just doesn't do anything. It just takes away from what you're trying to achieve. So, you know, you can be like, yeah, okay, I have privilege. I'm benefiting from certain things here that probably aren't great, but what can I do? I'm not going to sit here and wallow. What can I do to stop that? So, you know, be proactive and be helpful, and don't make it about you, is what I would say. So hopefully you've learned something from this video. If guys out there want to write to me or comment or ask me things they could do, I'd be more than happy to talk to you or tell you things, or say if you're doing something and you want my opinion on it, whether it's good or whether it's beneficial or harmful, I'd be more than happy to tell you. So please write to me. Would love if you like this video and leave a comment down below, obviously regarding that or regarding anything else. Would love for you to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button thingy so you always get notified of a new video. And yeah, just thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in next week's video. Bye!